and I'm going to build my own way through it. And we coming from a middle class family, it is a very big, bold step, right? And I said, no, I'm not going to ask neither for studies nor for this. And my dad was very, very upset. My brother is a civil servant. It was very difficult to figure it out. But what I did from there is started building up, my mental makeup. Most important for all you folks is to understand that entrepreneurship is lot about mind, not so much about the idea, not so much about anything else, not so much about money, but it is your ability and the mental tenacity which you build, which will hold you in good stead as you move on. And from there, I went ahead, I had to do some menial jobs. I did. I got my, I would go to a t-shirt store, get to a t-shirt manufacturer, get the t-shirts, manufactured. I would put prints on it, and then I'll sell it to all my friends, others. And I would make, very good money. So from there is where I started when I was a 16-year-old, okay? And I didn't ask my father even a single paisa. I did my first MBA, I did my second MBA, and I started a company when I was like 23. Sold the company, when I was 26. Went to US, went to Stern School, did my MBA, joined PricewaterhouseCoopers, did 4.5, 5 years of my study. But entrepreneurship, see, you love, so I am like, for me, my dad, brother, sisters, all of them into academics. But I always, entrepreneurship is something which I loved. I really feel bad, and, I have to curse Pavan for this. Why was he not born at that time? A. B is, why did he not start a Bauer school then? Had he started it, that's what I'm saying. Why was he not born is what I'm asking. Why was he not born? That's a question. And, B is that, we didn't have those facilities, but, Majburi ka naam Mahatma Gandhi, as they say. So when there is when the problems are, too many problems are there, opportunities galore happens. And, from there I went on to build, a merchandising business. As he said, events, that time merchandising was very fragmented. It was very, very tough. It was, to organize it. But I was very, very successful in organizing it to a level, raised multiple rounds of venture capital, private equity, etc. And, and since then, I think since 94 onwards, I didn't really have to worry about money. Money came as a byproduct, plus, minus. And then the idea was in 2010-11, while we had grown to one level, we wanted to also do something which could really scale. Scale means really become big. So the company Zaggle, which I started, do you know what would Zaggle mean? So Zaggle is an antidote to haggle. So Indians love to haggle. They always want to bargain. And I wanted to build something where there is no haggling. So I said, don't haggle, just Zaggle. And that's how we started. And there was an opportunity for us to figure out that, how do you, all merchandise which was being sold, a company would give to their dealers, incentives, employees. And, all of that was happening in a very different form, which is like they would give cups, t-shirts, etc. And I said, how can I digitize it? And digitization that time was not there. Nobody would understand what is digitization. I went ahead, did digitization of it, and said, I will come up with a single card, which is a prepaid card. And that prepaid card, you would be able to do whatever you want to do. Earlier, the choice was with the company as to what is it that they would want to give to their employees. Okay? And I wanted the employees to have the choice as to what they would want. And then we started rewarding it in a big way. And just imagine, my first year GMV, when we started the business, was about 4 crores. So today the GMV, which was 4 crores in 2012, is roughly about 50 odd thousand crores. 50,132. So imagine, somebody told me that, okay, what is it that you want to do? Generally, people ask, how I am asking you is same. What is it? I said, if I am able to take this 4 crores to 100 crores, which would mean 25 times multiple. Okay, so 4 to 100 is like what? 25 times. If I am able to grow 25 times in next 5 years, oh, that's a great opportunity. And that is what I thought. And, to be very honest, I missed that mark. In 5 years, I was not able to do 100 crores. I was stopped at 92. Okay. The 6th year, from 92, I jumped to 632 crores. Okay. The next year, 632 to 1800 crores. From 1800 crores, we jumped to, 6,500 crores. So those are the jumps. All you need is mental tenacity to stick it in, to see that, you believe in your product, you believe in your process, you believe that what you're building is a real pain point. It's a problem which everybody would want to get it solved. And today, when we do about 50,000 crores, somebody asks me, okay, what is it? And a lot of investors, and we are listed on the National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange. So a lot of people ask us, okay, what about next 5 years? What do you think, 50,000 crores could become in next 5, 7, 10 years? So, our aim is eventually in next 5 to 10 years, anywhere between 5 to 10 years, is to be able to become a 10 lakh crore company. So that you would have read, right, Muhammad Ali, if your ideas, don't scare you, then they are not big enough. You would have seen Muhammad Ali's punches, right? Those are like real good ones. So anyone out of all of you here who thinks that, okay, their particular project or idea could become very, very large. Pawan's is already, starting to rocket. So it's a rocket right now. And it is only going to go. And if you are able to ensure that it goes to Mars and then from there another rocket gets launched, that will be like really nice. Oh, absolutely. Possible, very much possible. And look and explore the unexplored. And you would have a travel friend here who wants to travel, take him along. Okay, because take him along because he wants to travel and, and that's the best thing. See, today's kids, if you really look at today's generation, they want to really enjoy life. Their sense of enjoying life versus, our sense of enjoying life is very different. Our sense of enjoying life, or let's say satisfaction, was if we get a job, we are satisfied. Okay, if we get this much income, it is satisfied. Because, that's how our parents brought us up. But today, when you look at it, your parents are, have put you in Bauer School, which is basically to become an entrepreneur. India is about 150 crore people. If 150 crore people have to be served, there have to be at least bare minimum 10 crore entrepreneurs. Okay, because some of them will fail, some of them will not do well, some of them will do exceedingly well. But what we should really aim for is one entrepreneur per family. Okay, and ideally speaking, please tell your parents, and when you marry, please ensure that more children are born. More children are required in the country because country is right now from a mean of 3.8 is come down to 1.9. So there are like, what is that? do you already have a child? By any? And is that the reason everybody is looking at you? So look at these opportunities. Bauer is a beautiful, medium, and I'm sure like Bauer, like many other schools will come up, in time. But in my opinion, you have got a great start. Let's build on this start and make Bauer proud. Along with that, build a company your parents should be proud of, your country should be proud of, and ultimately the world should be proud of. That is how you have to really think and build. Okay? Thank you so much. Number of 2,500 and tell me that 2,500 crores, then that doesn't excite me. Then why have you? I think the lot of other people will be able to do. And then he came back in the evening and then said, okay, give me 2 or 3 days, I'll come back with a number. And he came back with a number which was about roughly 6,000 crores. I said, what changed between, morning or like 2 days, 3 days back, you were like at 2,500, now you are at 6,000 crores. What changed? So he gave some explanation as to how he looked at it. He figured out some use cases which can be done. And what number did he hit actually in that year? He hit a number of 10,000 some odd 100 crores is what he hit. So question is, if we believe in ourselves, the TAM will automatically expand. And the TAM is expanding, and as you are, today thinking of, 10 lakh crores, that's how we have to do. India has to become from a 3.5 trillion economy. India has to become at least a $15 trillion dollar economy, in next 10 to 12 years. Because, and, that means compounding at about 11%. And how would you compound at 11.5%? Is like, producing more entrepreneurs. The more entrepreneurs who are there in the market, less number of, more number of people will get employed. And when they get employed, you generate GDP. Okay, that is how we have to do. We have to ensure that the skill set, okay, so today the problem is not people. People are plenty. We have a 150 crore population. Do you know 150 crore population? 150 crore people are there. It's typically, if you go to any match, any cricket match anywhere in the world, it is Indians who are dominating it. Suddenly I can see the change that, 10 years, 15 years back, or let's say 25 years back, when we used to go to US, how people would treat us, and today how people treat us is huge difference. And in my opinion, for a fact that if we are able to build that number of entrepreneurs per family, one entrepreneur per family, if we are really to go ahead and do that, I think we'll solve the problem. And then my 10 lakh crore number will also change automatically. So it's in your hands now.